Interesting new matter of public record has been attached. Those sweet, sweet words.
This is Nick's attorney saying that, Nick says that the current foster care providers are licensed. They've been licensed for 30 years. And then Nick says, and this is where, once again, you have an attorney sitting there with you. This is where you need to look at your attorney, guys. If you have things you need to say, you need to look at your attorney and go, hey, here's things I need you to say. Here, can you correct that information? It's so easy to do it that way. Don't jump up and start talking. Although this part right here isn't a big deal. He says, I don't believe they've currently been licensed, but they've been licensed foster care providers for quite some time, over 30 years, I believe. And this is Kayla's parents. They have plenty of experience dealing with kids. And they have plenty of experience facilitating visitation of children, not only of relatives, but of foreign placements. So foreign placements are, people that are completely not related at all. That part, you know what? Normally, I'd still say shut the fuck up, but okay, that part, let's just draw a big line right there. Everything north of that line, cool, we're good. Here's a big problem, Nick. Here is a big, big problem. Also, and I'll say it as I quote here. Also, I would like to indicate that the petition drafted by the county itself indicates that the children were no knowledge of any of the drugs being used in the home and are not aware of any use. And any testing of the children that would result in drug use, according to the children, will be because of secondary exposure from some other source. This is where you should have shut up. Why are you talking, Nick? You have an attorney. Use them. You are not talking your way out of this. That is not a statement where we go, oh, wow, bravo, so proud, so brave, Yas Queen, you fucking girl boss in it. No, this is not good. Like, why are you so worried about just harping on? I'm like, you're trying to litigate this right now. No. Because now you're now introducing the idea of the secondary exposure from some other source. Which, coupled with Nick talking when he was interviewed by Chrissy Mayer, Nick's talking about, well, it could have been smoked. The cocaine could have been smoked or could have been crack. And you know what? That's a really odd thing to say. That's a really odd thing to bring up. It's almost like it's a self-report at some point. And now we're learning, these kids might test positive. Well, we learned one of them did. And, I thought the narrative was the hair follicle tests are bullshit. Huh. So, right when this all started, you're jumping out in front of it saying, well, some of them might test positive, but if they do, it's not my fault. Yes, we're onto the conspiracy theory now. This isn't the government planting it, but we have a second conspiracy, chat. It's the second crack smoker on the cracky knoll. That Rekieta child was just sitting there and somebody was smoking crack or smoking cocaine and just blew it right into their face. And there might have been a second one blowing cocaine smoke into their face. It's like a crossfire, hanging out in the Texas crack rock depository. Just, I mean, I'm trying. I didn't want to think there was any, smoking of it going on, but when you bring it up and you bring up that point, and then the Pyrex and all that kind of leads to it. But why would you do this? Why would you? The kids were in no knowledge of any drugs being in the home. That might change depending on how they're interviewed. Like, you're like, oh, see, it says that I'm done. It's like, no, Nick, you're not. Yes, where there's smoke, there's crack. Kim says, how many people are smoking crack in the house? I don't know. Remember, like I said, Nick brought it up. And that's such a weird, it's weird and funny, but it's actually not weird and funny. It's weird and horrifying. It's such an odd thing to say. Why would you say that? But then again, though, he tells Chrissy, it's like, well, the police could have planted evidence. She's like, are you saying they did? He's like, no, I'm not saying that. Yeah, okay. Why would you bring any of that up like that? Because now you're acknowledging there's a secondary exposure from another source. I thought that was all bullshit. And was all fake. I mean, Robert Barnes sat there screaming about hair follicles being bullshit, and you're just like, this is why you don't talk on the record. Because all the lies start piling up. Let your attorney do the talking. So you look at the attorney and go, hey, man, you got all that book learning. I need you to do your thing. Don't talk for yourself. Don't. I'm sure Nick sat down and was like, Nick's like, 1 point me. It's like, okay. And he goes on, though. He's like, I understand the county's position is to try to attempt to facilitate the safest visitation for the children, but there's no indication other than simply a statute that these children have ever been in danger or exposed to any substances. But you just said up here above that, well, if it does happen, it's totally from someone else. Once again, that's such an odd thing to say, and then in the next breath say, well, they haven't been exposed. Then why would you be worrying about what they are? I'm not Perry. Guys, here's the thing. I'm not Perry Mason. I'm not Matlock. I'm not F. Lee Bailey. I'm not Marcia Clark. I'm not going to be one of the best. I'm not one of the best jurists ever. But come on, guys. Like, you can't do this. This is why you don't do this. It takes a handful of words in a sentence or two to make you sound like an idiot. And it doesn't take much to hang someone with their own words. You can see right here. It's easy enough. It's easy peasy and lemon squeezy. This is why you don't do it. This is why you shut up. Do not talk in court, chat. Do not talk in court. Go look at your attorney and say, I need you to start talking for me. I'm also really surprised his attorney isn't like, what the fuck are you doing? Because I'm sure Nick stood up and he's giving this great elocution, and I'm surprised his attorney, she isn't sitting there going like, motherfucker, what are you doing? Because I would have stood up and like, Mr. Rekieta, like, do you need to stop? Your Honor, and I'd be interrupting, trying to stop him. I'm sure Nick would be like, no, you can't tell me what to do. You're not my dad. I'm going to keep talking. And I'll be like, Mr. Rekieta, I really don't think you should talk anymore. No, I know what I'm doing. Do you think Nick takes his lawyer advice? No, I don't think he does, but your lawyer should be stepping in anyway. I've had clients where they don't do it. They don't listen. But you know what? You get up there and you get in the way and you obstruct as much as you can because your job is to stop them. You're supposed to stop them from themselves. And she let him keep talking. This is actually, I think this is a horrible job by this attorney. She should have been up there getting in the way, running interference, stopping it all over again. But she didn't, and I'm actually very upset at that. I'm upset at that. Is it ineffective assistance to counsel? No. Not at this point, but this was not acceptable conduct by the attorney. She should have stopped it. He says, but there's no indication these children have ever been in danger of exposure to any substances. Okay. Yes, it's the isolated drug house. It's the drug house with the hot and cold rooms. They've got a negative airflow going, so all the coke stays in the bedroom. I mean, that also really hurts Nick because his idea, like, I once again, guys, like I said, don't go to Nick for criminal defense advice. It's like, well, they have to prove I was there, and they have to prove I knew it was there. Well, you're saying the kids never had any interaction. The kids were never allowed in the bedroom. Well, you didn't allow the kids in. Why? Because that's where the drugs were. Once again, your statements can be used against you. And this woman, Kristen Pierce, is the criminal prosecutor. So you're just home run after home run after home run here, Baldo, man. Or that their parents have been under the influence of any substances around them or while providing care. You've been in the house, like, what? Like, what was this? Was this like a watch rotation in the polycule in the cover? Was like somebody was standing watch, they stayed sober while everybody else is getting blitzed and having sex? So like one person would be like, all right, we're going to draw straws or rock, paper, scissors. You're like, damn. I guess I'll go hang out with the kids and make SpaghettiOs. Like, come on, Nick. And then he goes on, he says, so, Your Honor, I would just ask, at the very minimum, we go ahead and go with your initial suggestion that the maternal grandparents who are currently providing care be offered the visit or be allowed to facilitate supervision and visitation. We have not done anything to not cooperate with the county other than assert our rights to request counsel before answering any questions, and before submitting to any testing. Okay. It's something that we had not had any opportunity to give in the Memorial Day weekend. And that's fair. Because remember, guys, we counted the days. Like, they got out of jail and Memorial Day weekend. Like, there's literally, it's government. Like, there's nothing happening. You are not getting a hold of caseworkers. Like, really, nothing's happening right now. So that part, I think, is that's actually not unfair to say. But remember, you've got an attorney. Your attorney can say all this for you. You don't have to say it. I tell my clients this all the time, especially ones who don't have a lot of interaction in the system and they're getting all nervous. Like, what do I say? What do I have to do? I said, you don't have to say magic words. I'll tell you when you, like, here's what you're going to have to say. The court's going to ask you questions and you're going to answer them. And they're going to be very straightforward questions. But I'll tell you when that time's coming. And I'll go over those questions with you. But this is not what you do. Because listen, he sounds like an attorney. That's not your time, Nick. This is not your time to do that. He said the first time we spoke to the county workers was at our home today around 1. Okay. Despite multiple attempts over the weekend, well, they're fucking government workers. You think they're not picking? I can only imagine. How many times did you call them? Because I'm sure that didn't sound like a lunatic. And despite multiple calls over weekend starting today at 8 a.m., like, okay, so yes, part of it is you don't go ring, 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 voicemail. Answer the phone! Like, is that what you're doing? Like, I'm totally not crazy. Just answer the phone. Like, and doing it over the weekend, like, what were you going to be able to do? We were unable to contact them until they arrived at the house. Like, yeah, it's literally the Memorial Day weekend. But this is why when you work with people, you like chill out. That's why you don't do stuff on your own. When they arrived at our house, once again, they found a house that was much cleaner than what was initially found. Notice not saying spotless, it's much cleaner, implying it was a lot less cleaner, which, remember, we were told, like, it's all a lie. The government says things. They put words on paper, chat. Do you believe the government? Why would you believe the government? Cried Nick. You're literally reinforcing things in the search warrant and the narrative. Oh, we went there and the house was a sty. It was a hovel. You're not dissuading us from that being true, Nick. This is why you don't talk. You're reinforcing all the things you said weren't true, and it's all a conspiracy and the real truth will come out. Yes, the real truth is coming out because you're talking. This is why you don't talk about your case, even in court. You let your attorney talk about your case. We've been making efforts now that the school year is finished to go ahead and take care of the clutter in the home. We've been making immediate efforts. Well, there's been 3 of you. It's been you and Kayla and April. Like, it's 3 people working together. Like, but start cleaning up and throwing stuff away, and you guys are having fun while you're doing it. And like, there's like the big pile of like debris in the middle of the floor, and like one of you jumps out and scares the others. You're like, ha, and you're like, ha ha, and he's like, ah. You could do that. You could totally do something like that. But instead, what did you guys do? You probably sat around and got high all weekend. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that's probably what happened, and that's okay. It's been a stressful couple of days. Now, I'm not gonna say he's gaslighting the court, but oh my god, this is getting there. This is really getting there. I just, he's like, and he just keeps going. We're not even requesting that the children be placed in our home during this continuance. Well, I applaud Nick for realizing on the list of things that ain't ever gonna fucking happen at this hearing, that was like number one. You ain't getting your fucking kids back at this hearing. But merely that the visitation be supervised by people who are obviously qualified to provide that supervision and are sitting in this room right over here and have done so for over 3 decades in this county. Yes, but they also literally walked into the Baldo bunker and apparently nothing happened. So it is a big red flag. That's a big concern point. And then in this county, and he says, in this county, Your Honor. And then the court asks Miss Sweep, the sweepiest of the sweeps. And it's funny. She's not living up to her name, chat.